There, can you hear us, Bob? Good. Okay.
And you're the tech department. Here we go.
I think
So ready to go. I'm not putting the video on, but everybody can hear us.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us. I'd like to call this regular council meeting to order on January 11th, 2023 at 5 p.m. or 5:07. We respectfully acknowledge that the land which we gather is unceded traditional territory of the Swepnik. Approval of the agenda. Do we have any late items? Anybody have any late items? No late items. Okay, recommended that the regular council meeting agenda for January 11th, 2023 be approved as circulated. May I have a motion? Pam, may I have a seconder? Siobhan? Okay, all in favor? Thank you. Adoption of the minutes. Recommended that the minutes of the special council meeting held on December 14th, 2022 be adopted. May I have a mover? Seconder? Malcolm, Pam? You guys all had time to read those minutes? Okay, thank you. Okay. Public and statutory hearings, we have none. Delegations, we have none. Bylaws and policies. On to that. Adoption of zoning bylaw 1000/2022. Recommended that District of Sycamore zoning bylaw 1000/2022 be adopted this 11th day of January 2022. May I have a mover? Ian? A seconder is Pam. All in favor? Oh, no, we got discussion first. He's gonna give us a report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I really don't have a report. It was approved by the Ministry of Transportation on December 19th, and council can now adopt the bylaw if they so choose.
Okay, so we're all in order to pass this tonight. Okay. Discussion. Any councillor like to have a word? Councillor McCabe?
Thank you. So the Minister of Transportation had a whole whack of traffic impact studies they want to done as a result of this, and that's all been addressed.
Through the chair, yes, it's all been addressed. So we did make some tweaks as we went through it, and yeah, by December 19th, we had all the kinks worked out. So.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. Anybody else? Councillor McCabe?
So no changes since the last third reading?
Correct.
Thank you, through the chair.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. If there's no more discussion, I'm going to call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
I think we should clap for the zoning bylaw. Years now.
How long have you
Yes.
been 8 years. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to staff reports. We're gonna, item A is the Community Health Center update. Karen Eastland is gonna give us an update. Thank you, Karen.
Chairman, Mayor Anderson. Next time we're gonna have a PowerPoint presentation, I promise. So it's been a very full and productive year at this community health center. We continue to contract 3 doctors and 1 part-time registered nurse who specializes in women's health. And 3 MLAs, which are medical office assistants. Currently, we have a full patient panel of 2,700, around 2,740. It's up a little bit since then, since I wrote this. Which is an increase of 5% since my last report in June. So And Dr. Along serves 36% of those patients, Dr. Edmondson serves 44, and Dr. Conick serves 20. On at the end of November, we hosted the rural site visits, which is through the, and there's a mistake on my report. It's actually, I said rural care coordination. That's what I always default to. It's a rural coordination center. And it's called the RCCBC. They fall underneath, they're a group of healthcare professionals and community members, policymakers, educators, researchers, nonprofits, and business leaders from across British Columbia that serve to improve rural health. And they fall under the Joint Standing Committee, which falls under Doctors of BC and the ministry. So they have some pull and some power. So we had one day of meetings with the first one was with all the first responders in the community, or several of them. Really well attended and really interesting. Then it was followed up by the municipality, and then health administrators, which included two high-level IHA, Ontario Health professionals. And so that was, we were really happy to see them there because it was, things were getting their attention. And then then we ended up, they finished up with the doctors. So they had some really good conversations. And the next day was a wind-up breakfast with again, we ended up having a snowstorm, a lot of people couldn't make it. Rona Martin was planning to attend that one, but she couldn't make it. There's the report is attached from what they derived from it, but the biggest thing is that they celebrated, really continued to celebrate the District of Sycamore, so how they stepped up and assumed or took over the medical center so that we could continue to offer comprehensive medical services here in town. So that was, and the other thing that they were really impressed with was the interagency committee, or our agency group that gets together once a month. And it's facilitated by Broad Health Center, Ontario Health, and also Legal Development Resource Society. So it's really well attended. It's always very interesting. So it's amazing how many programs in this community there are, and so it's really encouraging. So, and as the member of the Community Health Center, I was recently appointed to the BC Rural Health Networks Implementation Committee. Kind of feel some days like a fish out of water because there's like some amazing people that have worked their entire lives in this field. So it's chaired by Dr. June Cornelson, and she's a health researcher and a professor at UBC, and she's passionate about rural health, and she really is a mover. So it's nice to be part of that committee. In December, we looked at and position paper about, and we're going to finalize it tomorrow at the next meeting, but it's about the inequities in rural health and access to rural health and how it costs people in different areas so much more to access care. And so working on lobbying government to look at that and not just pay out-of-pocket expenses after the fact. Some people don't access care because they can't afford to make those trips. So it's about having that available before. So it's a really big initiative. There was a press release in December about it, and now they're looking for, pardon me, they're looking for stories from people that have experienced hardship because they've had to travel, or if you know of anybody, get in touch with me because I'll get you in touch with Paul Adams. Greg Kylo's office has sent a few people our way already, so hopefully we'll get some stories out there because it's important to this community and to every rural community. So do you want me to read the press release? It's in the thing, it's all there. But it was it went out and got immediate attention. Global News was on it. There's several different news avenues that picked it up. So there was definitely some traction with it. So the basis of the rural health network is so that people with lived experience. They're looking for people that have had those experiences, whether on all levels, so that they're looking at that as, as their data. And so they're looking to the rural communities for that information. So I'm really pleased and honored to be invited to that committee. And I hope to have lots to report here on that. So, so there's between the Rural Health Network and the RCCBC, there's a lot of work being done in the background to ensure that, our vision for this, the Shuswap Healing Center is all going to be part of that. It's about bringing everything together and having, proper healthcare under one roof and available to everybody. So, I've written like every community has a culture that's is unique in developing the resources that brings individuals together to contribute to community wellness. From my perspective, success is demonstrated by the number of people involved in creating a healthier community, and we have lots of that here. The social determinants for good health are intrinsically part of every community. It's an all hands on deck kind of thing. Building solutions for a healthier community is relationship based. People come together to fill the gap for what they know to be true in their own lives. The vision and development of the Shuswap Healing Center is to integrate and to enhance the tremendous list of community organizations, members, and projects that serve to enhance the quality of life, wellness, and social connection. So, any questions? I have the full report from our CCBC. There's just a lot of really good stuff. Yeah, there's one thing in particular is it's the acronym RTSV, real-time virtual support. And so our doctors in the clinic today can, if they have a situation, say a dermatology situation or an emergent situation, that there's 3 categories that they can call, but if that's for emergency, maternity, newborn, and pediatrics, 24/7. They can get on a Zoom call or a call with a specialist and have that immediate access to care, which is really a big deal. And then during the week, there's others. There's dermatology, myofascial pain, rheumatology, neurology, thrombosis, and hepatology. So things like now to get into a dermatologist in this area, you'd be looking at months and months. And they can, if it's something, I mean, there's things that are less urgent, but they have immediate access to help and to consult, and they can get right on the line with a dermatologist or an emergency physician or whatever it is. And they also they do rural or virtual training. So we had a virtual training here recently. And so they do a lot of really good work. So I'm really pleased that we have their attention and that and I'm really happy to be involved if anybody asks me involved. So any questions?
Good work there, Karen. Yeah, any discussion from any of the councillors? There. Okay, Councillor McKay.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, no one's really approached Eagle Valley Transportation. I mean, that's what we do. Sort of my different hats are provide access to urban healthcare from a rural setting. And so we have 150 members and they all have a story about accessing healthcare.
Okay.
And I have we have a spreadsheet that we track every ride, what town it's to and what function roughly it's for. We hide some columns for confidentiality of who's getting a ride, but that's a needs analysis. They're looking for data. I have a data sheet that shows in the last 5 years how many people we've had to drive out of town for healthcare.
That's amazing. And if with your permission, I'll give your contact information to Paul Adams.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah, he would love to talk to you.
We can share the spreadsheet and I can take 5 or 10 members that will probably share their story. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCabe. I'm sure you probably could save a few stories yourself. Mayor Anderson, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Councillor McCabe. That's awesome. That'll help this cause. And thank you very much, Karen. I think that it sounds like we're heading in the right direction and working together to create the vision that we had for Sycamoose. So this is all really positive, and I just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Anybody else have anything? Karen, I just want to add that, through just before the holidays there, and you had the fire at the medical center, and just your staff and your doctors, you just like you missed the beat, you just carried on, and you got a lot of good, comments throughout the community on how you guys never missed a beat, and you were there. So thank you very much for everything you did.
Work off myself, because it was the only one that was, we could only loop up one line to our call, so my phone was on fire. It was great.
No,
I handed it off to Carla and Sandra.
good work. You guys did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything you do. Okay, moving right along, the next item on staff reports is decorative street banners. Daryl, you got a little update you want to give us? Another presentation?
Yeah, be a one slider, I think.
We love your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just pull this up.
I don't have it.
In here somewhere.
Oh, found it.
Branded that.
So we've got a couple of images that I'll throw up.
Right.
So as council probably knows, a number of years ago, I'm gonna guess 4 years ago, we did a branding exercise. And we've kind of moved in a direction where we were trying to brand some of the district equipment and different things. The banners was a project that we took on in kind of a graduated format. We started with 20 banners through the downtown core, and then we added 10 more the following year and 10 more the following year. And so we're at a point now where we've got spots for 60 banners. We're taking up 40 of them with our newer banners, the branded banners, as we've been increasing them every year. And on the back side of this story, there's been a group that's been painting banners every year. And so they paint them in the Red Barn. And a number of years ago, they decorated the street lights, the banner arms, with all 60 of the painted ones. And so we've been kind of whittling away and getting the branded ones in place. And so right now we're at about a 40-20 split. And they've approached me and would like to increase the number that they can paint. They want to get back to a bigger number. And I'm good either way. I know we've been kind of moving this direction, and I thought it'd be just something for council to decide. Maybe provide some direction on what you want to see in the downtown core for banners. We have the ability to go another 10 this year. I will say we could do 50-10 split. But again, they want to paint more. So that's kind of where we're at. We're
Okay, Daryl.
40-20.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for bringing us up to date. I'll open the floor to discussion. Councilor Beach.
I think that's awesome that they want to paint more, and I think there's lots of light posts. Not all downtown, but even driving through on Highway 97. We should be able to find a spot for every banner that anybody can paint, as well as the branded ones. So are you just asking about downtown, Daryl? What we want downtown?
Yeah.
We're looking for solutions on how we can actually keep incorporating more banners everywhere.
Through the chair, I'm open to, if council wants to expand the program and wants to direct us to go purchase more banner arms. There's certain spots that we can't because BC Hydro poles, they're not ours. So they would have to be our lights. I haven't done a count on how many more are available. We've been focusing always in the downtown core. We could probably, add a few more, but there's a cost getting those banner arms. They're about $500 for the banner arms, and then powder coated, we're probably looking at about 600 for a pair. So.
Thanks, Daryl.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Councillor Bailey?
I think I'm just trying to think off the top of my head here. I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, when we embarked on this program, I assume there's some sort of, branding and marketing goal that we had. And the reason we put this out is to try to create some sort of level of consistency and look and all these things that you try to do with a marketing program. So I guess my question is, where does having hand painted banners kind of work within our, our goals when it comes to, marketing the town?
Through the chair, it's a fair question. Not really a consideration I had in my overall plan. I was moving towards replacing them with the branded banners, to be honest. But I recognize that there's, value in getting people together to paint things, and they've been doing it for a while, and that's valid as well. If council decides they want to keep some of those up, I'm open.
Okay, thank you, Daryl, and thank you, Councillor Bailey. I know we have Deb Heap on the line, so Deb, you're gonna go, you can hang off till later on, because I know you're part of the communities, you're running the communities in Bloom. But we'll go with Councillor McKay first, and then we'll go to Councillor Anderson, or Mayor Anderson.
Thank you, Chair. I wonder if we could redirect the volunteers' efforts into maybe murals instead of banners. And then we could strategically place them around town to help beautify areas and focus on branding on the lampstanders. So instead of saying no, just redirect efforts to maybe switching over to murals instead of banners. I don't know if that's possible, or redirect your efforts and focus branding in the downtown core, but not say no to the volunteer group. And maybe switch from banners to murals or square ones that they do out of the red barn there, and then they can strategically put up around town.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. Mayor Anderson, and then
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Bushel. Ian, Councillor Bailey, I do agree with you. I was part of the branding group, so I know that strategically our branding is what we want to share. However, I do believe I agree with Malcolm as well. There should be a space for either switching some banners and going banners and murals, or and finding just some space maybe on Riverside or something for our painted banners, but making sure that our main street is branded, because you are correct. I mean, there's a plan behind branding. So I think there's space for both, and perhaps Daryl, we could, have a little look at, where we want to go with this and put those in one area, put our branding on Main Street. Just my thoughts.
thank you, Mayor Anderson, Councillor Rich, and then Councillor Evans.
So my question would be, what is the life of a banner? So are we replacing them every 6 months or every year? And then what does it cost every time a banner is changed? So can we have banner month, and we put up, pick an area, or we have our painting, it's a big community focus, people feel involved, we put our banners up, and then we take them down. Now that's cost and time to Daryl's folks. But I think, branding is important, but also bringing our community in is also important. So maybe in May is banner month, and in April, everybody meets at the Red Barn. I think that's actually how they used to do it, and they would paint them. And they pop up for a bit, and then they pop back down when kind of tourists. And there was a bit of a competition, I believe, in the past. Is that right, Gord? It was many years ago. Or sorry, Deputy Mayor.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that was something, that's the way it did go. I know my wife Brenda, she painted them, and I think even Mayor Anderson has painted too. And it's dear to their heart, and they've spent a lot of time on it. And they've done a good job over the years, and I think they do one every year, is what I remember, but I'm not in that class, so. Good points. Councillor Evans?
So from Councillor Evans, I love the branded banner designs, and I'm hoping that we will use them. They are very well done. He also adds, I'd like to see at least 10 of the branded banners added this year.
Okay, thanks to Councillor Evans. Anybody else? Oh, Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, just to address Siobhan, it takes a lot of work to put those banners up and down, and it takes a lot of staff time. It's unfortunate that it does take that much time, but I think that, if Daryl puts his mind to it, I'm sure that he will find a space for painted banners, and we can still brand Main Street without having the expense of buying more arms, and being cognizant of where you can and cannot put those banners. But I think it's a lot of work for that team. I've been part of decorating poles and banners, and it's a bit of a lot of work.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Councillor Beach and then Councillor Bailey.
To the chair, I do like the idea of having the branded banners downtown and on Main Street. But I do believe, as has been stated by a few of us, that it's important to include the community and have the community, if they enjoy painting banners, then I think it's important to have them participate in the beautification of our town. I'm sure Deb would agree with that, but I wonder, I don't know like how many streets has Riverside got sort of the kind of posts, light posts that we would need. How many does Shuswap have? So we have a few streets where we can start to think about where else we could put the painted banners. Yeah, it's going to cost more money to get the arms, but I don't know. I think it's worth it to have participation from your community and pride in painting banners to beautify it. So just my thoughts.
Thank you, Councillor Beach. Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I was just gonna pick up on something that Malcolm talked about. Maybe it's time to figure out what that community component is. We have our branded kind of program, and that's important as well. So rather than maybe competing with it, we find another role. I think everybody here would love to see the community involved, and it's certainly unique statement pieces that are being done because they're all unique, right? And so maybe I like the idea of murals. I like the ideas of maybe we can be putting those in some spots around town. We've talked at the development committee about little pocket parks. Well, if there's little areas that we have that we want to beautify, maybe this is an opportunity to put a mural there. And that way, in many ways, their banner is not competing with the branded banner, and it's more of a highlight to their work and it stands out. So, picking up from Malcolm's point, I really like that idea. Maybe if I could suggest something, Mr. Chair, that we instruct staff to identify some prominent locations in which we could go back to the organizers and suggest this to them and see if they would be willing to do that.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bailey. Pam, did you want to, or Deb, did you want to say something? Are you on there? Deb Heath?
Yes, please. Just a couple thoughts. I absolutely do not speak for the banner committee because they have, but just to give a little bit of context, they, they've been painting these banners for almost 30 years. And and they're very proud of their banners. I don't think, honestly, they're mural painters. And just, from my perspective, you want to be very careful about mural painters because murals are very permanent. And if you don't have somebody that is adept at doing that, you could end up with some things you really don't want to end up with. What I would be willing to do with Communities in Bloom, I have been working in a good partnership with the people from the Banner Project. And they've been really great about coordinating with me in terms of themes and such. I think if, like Colleen says, that Daryl can come up with some places where they could be highlighted, and that, you know, just be clear with them that you want the branding downtown. Between the other locations that you can hang banners, I would absolutely be willing to look at other options for using those banners for in other ways. We had talked in the past about building some frames for them. I don't know if you guys have walked by the Legion, but I purchased one banner from the ladies. Each year when they take them down, they auction them off. And I purchased one and I placed it in the entrance to the upstairs of the Legion. And it's gorgeous. And, you know, like there might be some opportunities for using them in other decorative fashion if they paint more. I certainly understand some of the concerns, like, because I've had issues with the art boards too, where some of them are a much better quality than others. But you've got people that are painting their hearts out. And so I'm actually really good at finding ways to put some of them in places that aren't maybe front and center.
Okay, thank you for your input there, Deb. I really appreciate it. I think, Daryl, I don't know if you know what you want to go with, but I think it's a budget question too on banner bars and things like that. And if you want to reach out to Frenny, I think Frenny's the lady that organizes it, and just see where she, let her know what the conversations were, and then we'll talk about it at budget time. Maybe we do need to order some more bars if we can squeeze it in the budget. And everybody had a lot of good input here, so really appreciate it. Oh, Mayor Anderson, you'd like to add one more thing?
Yeah, I do, Deb. That's a great idea. If we can utilize those in spaces that could use some art, maybe frame them, that's a really good idea. And that way, you know what, you're absolutely right. 30 years of banner painting and a lot of heart and soul into that. Perhaps we can find spaces, rec center or Legion or wherever.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson. We'll leave it, let Daryl and Deb spend some time with Frenny, and I'm sure it'll work out really well. But thank you very much for that staff report, Daryl. All righty, moving right along. Notices the motion, the RW Bloom Bridge replacement, letter to the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure. Colleen, did you want to just do a brief discussion on this before we go to the recommendation?
Yeah, for sure. MOTI had a in-camera meeting with the district of Sycamus not that long ago. And of course, we can't discuss in-camera issues. However, it does look like there's a few more hurdles that they have to get over, and they're working on it. However, after the meeting, I felt, and I think my fellow councillors felt that this isn't moving along quite fast enough, and the shape of our bridge right now is it's a serious safety concern for pedestrians as well as north or east and west traffic. It is Trans-Canada Highway. It's not just the Bruin Bridge, it's the Trans-Canada Highway, and there's a lot of traffic moving up and down that highway. So 8 years ago, this was going to be a project that was coming up. Then 4 years ago, it was going to happen in 2 years, and here we are in 2023, and they are discussing it, but we want to make sure that we are pushing for the safety concerns and the safety of our residents. So I did request Sarah did from a letter from Sergeant Murray regarding the incidents and accidents on the Bruin Bridge. So that's attached to it. We've also are going to copy this to our MLA, Greg Kylo, as well as our MP, Mel Arnold. So, and we asked for support as well from the CSRD, because this bridge connects our two communities, not just all the way west, but connects our two communities. So, and just as a note to council, Ann Kang, Minister of Municipal Affairs, is coming in to meet you probably next week. So she works on infrastructure and healthcare. So I would suggest that you have a frank conversation with her about this infrastructure and perhaps take her out to it because she will be in Sycamoose, as well as perhaps discuss our, housing and healthcare because she's got the premier's ear. So, but for sure, take her out to the bridge and show her that infrastructure on Trans-Canada, because it's not just the Bruin Bridge. We call it Bruin Bridge, but it is Trans-Canada Highway, which is it's in disgusting shape. So anyway, so we've put together this letter that we want to forward and get as much support as we can. So that's what's attached here.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson. So the recommendation is recommended that the letter be sent to the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure requesting that RW Room Bridge replacement project be prioritized and expedited due to concerns of public safety. Can I have a mover? Councillor Bailey, seconder. Councillor Rich. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, item number B, Columbia Reconciliation Award. Councillor McCabe, would you like to do a little speech on that?
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. Yeah, I think some correspondence that, you get sent as council. And reading this one, it's based around calls for action for reconciliation through UNDRIP. And BC is one of the only provinces that's passed that as legislation. And our healing center is probably funded because we're partnering with Splatson and we're doing calls for action on reconciliation. I think it's, not sure, but 22, 23, and 24. So I wasn't sure exactly how we'd structure it, but I was going to suggest that we ask staff to somehow get some recognition for the project we're undertaking, because there's very few municipalities that are actually taking physical action on the calls for action. And I think this is a good example. I think it should be recognized. So it's just my thoughts.
So, okay, discussion. Kelly, you had your hand up?
Oh, no, Sarah's looked into it and exactly the requirements, so maybe she can speak to it.
Yeah, so I just have some information about it. So the British Columbia Reconciliation Award recognizes individuals, groups, and organizations who demonstrate leadership to further the calls to action outlined in the Truth and Reconciliation Report. So the one piece about this is that nominations must be submitted by January 20th. We would be self-nominating, which is allowed if we're a local government. If the district chooses to self-nominate, the following would need to be completed. So there's an online nomination form, a letter that describes the impact of the nominee's achievements, so 450 words. This letter would include outcomes of the work the nominee has done to advance the principles of reconciliation and indicate the way the nominee's work has specifically impacted youth and/or Indigenous elders. And then we would require 2 support letters from individuals who can speak about the impact of our achievements from firsthand experience. There's also the option to provide additional materials up to 5 items. So it can be articles, video, recorded testimonials, and any additional support letters. So just wanting to share that just due to the timeline with the January 20th deadline and staffing limitations. We're just wanting council to be aware of that. We think it's a great idea. Perhaps it might be something to look forward to for 2024.
Okay, thanks for that, Sarah. Anybody else have anything they wanted to discuss? Pam, Councillor Beach?
To the chair. Yeah, I think that it would be, I was actually thinking that it would be nice if we could nominate Flat Sheen. Could we do that for stepping up and working with us? More than self-nominating, like I would feel better about that. But I mean, I don't even know if we have time. I think I hear Sarah saying that time is of essence here and we may have responded too late.
Okay.
I don't know. Sarah, is that what you were saying?
So the deadline to nominate is January.
Is the
20th. You
20th.
have to pull all that information together
Yes.
and then,
It's time.
but yeah, you could definitely nominate Slatsine if council so chooses.
That's what I would like to put forward. I feel like in terms of our partnership and our relationship, that would probably be received well. And I would much rather do that than nominate ourselves. We haven't finished the Healing Center. That project is not a sort of complete one, and it would be nice. I mean, I'm sure that we will be recognized plenty when that is done, right? I just feel that it's a little bit premature for us to ask for that level of recognition at this point, but absolutely, we wouldn't be where we are without the Slatsine stepping up and working with us. And if we could nominate them, I think that would be awesome. Just putting it out there.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Beach. Mayor Anderson, you have your hand up?
Yeah, thank you. You know what? I love this idea, but I think we're premature with all of it. Yes, Slatsine are working with us. That's because we have a great relationship with them already, but nothing has really been started or done. So I feel like we are slapping ourselves on the back and congratulating ourselves for something that's not there yet. So
Yeah.
I think that we should look at perhaps 2023, 2024, see how we're doing and how this is all shaken out and move from there. But right now, for me personally, I think this is all premature.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson. Anybody else have anything? I just comment on it myself. It'd be nice to get it in there in time, but I know it is difficult when Slatsine only meets so many times, the band only meets so many times a month, and it's tough to get on the agenda, and it's pretty tight time frame between now, really only 10 days. Yeah, so I hear you, and it would be nice to get in there. I don't know if we can. Malcolm, did you want to close and say anything?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Yeah, I missed the deadline there when I put this in there. Yeah, that's tight, and our staff is staying. So I understand. And it is more of possibly premature to recognize the building, but maybe like Councillor B said, recognize Slatsine for partnering with us to even work on it. But yeah, staff is short and time is short. So yeah, I just thought I'd throw it out there for discussion. I honestly missed the timeline when I asked to have it on the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilor McCabe. I think we'll probably, like I say, we'll probably work towards next year and try to be ready and see where we're at in construction mode. Okay, moving on, resolutions. We all have a resolution released from in camera council meeting for information only. And that resolution that council award and the request for proposal for the child care facility operator to Amar and Karen Kalu. And that the lease agreement be negotiated for the use of 502 Cedar Street, and further that the resolution be released from in camera. Kelly, did you have anything you want to say?
Sure, I can speak to this, or Sarah, did you have something to say?
There's just a comment from Councillor Evans.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so let Councillor Evans have his comment. Yeah.
Okay. He just wishes to say, I am excited that after much hard work with our staff, we have a new proponent for our daycare. I'm so thankful to Janet and the team at the Resource Center for their hard work and care that went into Little Bears and their gracious efforts in transitioning to Amar and Kieran's leadership.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Evans.
Yeah, and further to that, I am currently, I've got a lease almost ready to go. It'll be at our next council meeting that we're just working through the kinks for the daycare facility. It's very similar to the Eagle Valley one, but a little bit different. And I've already received a few emails asking to go on wait lists for the daycare. So it's an opportunity to highlight that we have a daycare as well. So we're passing that along and things seem to be aligning. And so it's been a lot of work, but I'm happy where we're going.
We'll get it this time.
Great, thank you very much, Kelly, and thank you and your team and Councillor Evans for all the hard work getting this put together. Okay, moving along with resolution B, Sycamoose Affordable Housing Project Working Group. Kelly, did you want to talk about this before we bring the recommendation up?
Yeah, so briefly through the chair, at the last committee of the whole, we discussed our housing project and working with Eagle Valley Senior Society on the allocation of the land for the 36 units of housing and how some of them may use what portions of the land. So instead of going back and forth to council, we thought it was more efficient to have a working group to meet as needed, where there would be two councillors, Councillor Rich and Councillor McKay, two members of staff, Scott Beeching and myself, and two members of the Eagle Valley Seniors Housing Society, that we can form a working group, meet on an as-needed basis to work out some kinks, and then we can communicate to our respective groups just to help expedite the process, recognizing that this housing project, as well as other, they're very important. It's a priority for us and we want to get it moving. So with that, we have a resolution to form this working group so we can meet.
Okay, thank you for that, Kelly. Okay, the recommendation that the working group be established between the District of Sycamoose and the Eagle Valley Seniors Citizens Housing Society to meet on an as-needed basis regarding the Sycamoose Affordable Housing Project with BC Housing, and that the working group be comprised of two district council members, Councillor McKay and Councillor Rich, two district staff members, which is Kelly Bennett and Scott Beeching, and two board members from the Eagle Valley Senior Housing Society. Can I have a mover? Councillor Beach and the seconder, Councillor Bailey. Any discussion? Councillor McKay?
Yeah, just a quick one. So this is strictly focused on the $3.6 million grant in our joint partnership with the Senior Housing Society. So separate from this, I guess, a related question would be, how do we ensure front half of 425, 433, that project, is that just early days and staff looking after that and doesn't really need a working committee sort of thing?
That's a really excellent question, Malcolm. And so I think step one is carve out what piece of land we need for the 36 units. And within the next month, hopefully we can talk about the other remaining housing project and what that's going to look like. Yeah, I just don't want to do too many things all at the same time and then we don't move anywhere. It's like, let's carve out this and then how much land do we have left? And then we'll have a working group for that one too.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor McKay.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a linear process, not a parallel task process. Basically, we have to establish what our partnership is doing with the Senior Housing Society in the district, and then the output of that will dictate what happens next.
Yeah, correct. I think what we've been trying to do in the past is everything all together. And there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen and we're not able to move forward, right? So to kind of figure out one and then we can figure out two. That's the plan.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Councillor McCabe. We also have Kelly, the president of the society, on the line, and she has her hand up. But is there any more councillors or Mayor Anderson have any comments? Oh, Councillor Bailey?
Yeah, I really like the plan to get something moving, and I think that's the key part. So dividing it up in smaller manageable chunks, I think you're bang on there. And we have two great counselors on there, and the staff, I think, will do an excellent job navigating it.
Thank you, Councillor Bailey. Kelly, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yes, through the chair. Thanks very much for the opportunity. We've been working behind behind the forum here with Kelly to try and get this going. And there's a great group of people that are part of the board that are bringing a lot of experience to the table that's going to augment what's already been done by our board in the past and move us into the next phase of the project. So we're excited we are now ready. There's had to be some time where we've had to sort things out to understand where we are and what our needs are and what we're going to do next. And we're at that point, and we're excited to be able to finally sit down with our partners on this project, which is the district of Sycamoose, and work with them with integrity and transparency to get a shovel in the ground very, very quickly.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. And while we have you on the line, have you picked your 2 board members? I imagine you'll be on the committee. Have you picked another board member?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much through the chair. I'll be on the committee, as will Judy Moore.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it, Kelly, and hopefully we can start moving some dirt.
You got it.
If there's no more discussion, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? I didn't see Bob on there. Did Bob raise his hand?
I believe he
Yes.
raised his hand.
Okay. Carried unanimously. Thank you. All righty, moving on to correspondence. We have some correspondence in the Sycamoose minor softball funding request. This request comes up every year, and Jake puts on a great softball tournament, and yeah, he's always requesting some funding. So we like to help him out, and brings a lot of people into the community and families, and so this is on the agenda. Sarah, did you want to talk about this?
We have a resolution based solely on the request that Mr. DeWitt has presented, but if council wants to discuss, we can amend.
Okay, and that was for, what was the amount?
$3,500 to support 3 fast pitch tournaments that will be held in the municipality. And then to approve use of the Eagle's Nest as an in-kind donation to house umpires during.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. For discussion, Councilor Bailey?
More just a question. You said this comes up every year. Is this in line with previous year's requests? Thank you.
Yes. So just, yes, thank you through the chair. Just for clarity. Yeah. So we pre-budget for this 3,500 in our special event.
That's all I'm asking.
I think since I've been here, it's budget. So it's pretty in the budget. So.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelly. Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you. Just to clarify, thanks, Ian. I was just going to ask if this is what we normally contribute. But this looks like more tournaments than that $3,500 usually contributes to. There's 3. So if that's his request, I guess, and that's the normal one, well.
That's not good enough. Yeah.
Pardon? The Eagles Roost, I guess, I don't know if it's booked or not, so we'll have to look into that. But I think they used it last year, did they not? Or one of the years that we had it. So I don't see a problem with that. I'm in favor of supporting this.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Mayor Anderson. Councilor McKay?
Yeah, no, Mayor Anderson touched on the logistics of the Eagle's Nest, but just make sure that it's available, because I think that's why you can do 3 tournaments for 3,500 as opposed to maybe 1 or 2 in previous years. It's the combination cost that's not incurred for everybody else. So yeah, great.
Okay, if everybody's good with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, item number B, Carol Slaughter. I'm sure you all looked at the presentation online and on our agenda. Carol's has some artwork that she's donated. Sarah, did you want to talk about this or? Kelly,
Yeah, so I got, Carol reached out. She has done this artwork. It's currently, if you want to take a look at it, in the library. I know the library is closed right now. And it was related to the fire that happened in 2021. And she wanted to donate it to the community. To be in a public area, wherever we so choose, but she just wanted to donate it to the district of Sycamoose. And so she wanted, so we're bringing it to council for council to accept the donation. We'd have to maintain it. I mean, it's not difficult to maintain. We have a donation policy. It's a piece of art, so. And then we would issue her a tax receipt for the fair market value of the donation. So it doesn't really cost us anything other than a little bit of paperwork.
okay, thank you, Kelly. Discussion, anybody who would like to add? Mayor Anderson, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a lovely donation, and I thank Carol for it. And I think that perhaps we can find some space in the district office or in council chambers or somewhere to display it. I think that's a really nice gesture, and I'd like to thank Carol.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Mayor Rich, or Mayor Rich.
Look at you go.
You got promoted. You got promoted.
It's good. No, I just want to concur with the mayor. Carol has been a huge part of our community for years and years and years, and has contributed in all different ways. And I think it's like the artwork itself, if you take a look, it's beautiful. And I think it's will stand in our community for a lot of years, and it's a good thing to have for us. I think we're lucky.
Thank you, Councilor Rich. Councilor Beach.
Yeah, Carol is a socially conscious painter. And this is a work of art that has gathered stories from the time of the wildfire, and stories and emotion and everything. It's quite something. So this is a good place for it. It's about the community and how the community responded to the wildfire. And yeah, I don't think we'll regret having it in our building.
Thanks. Thank you, Councilor Beach. Yeah, I think, Carol, she's just been, a big part of the community with music lessons and just all our work in that, and both her and John. And it would be a great asset for the community. So we'd like to thank Carol for her contribution and donation. And yeah, it's great for the community. So we'll
Reach out to her.
accept that. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll do a resolution as well. Recommend that the council accept the artwork donation titled Wildfire K42078 from Carol Slaughter, valued at $2,800 to be placed at a location. And we haven't really picked the location, but we will find a location. So can I have a mover on that? Councilor Beach, seconder. Councilor Rich, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. And thank you, Carol, for that. That's wonderful. Okay, moving on, more correspondence. We have the Southern Interior Local Government Association, SOGA. SOGA calls for resolutions. Deadline is February 24th. We have to have our resolutions into SOGA by then. They also call for nominations for directors by February 24th, if any of you are interested in becoming a director. And then they have a 2023 Community Excellence Awards, which something we did in 2022, but we weren't elected. We sent in a nomination for us to be nominated for Community Excellence Awards, but we didn't get nominated. And that's deadline is February 1st. Yes, February 1st. So yeah, just it's short notice. I don't know if anybody has any resolutions they would like to add, but if we could get some resolutions in by the next council meeting for SOGA, and we could vote on them and get them forward, and that's how the process works. And once they go through SOGA, hopefully they go to UBCM. And that's where, you really get some support and backing from the rest of the province and move some of these issues forward that we might have. So, yeah, we have a recommendation that staff be directed to draft resolutions for the 2023 Southern Ontario Local Government Association Convention on the following topics. Right now, do we have any topics? Councilor McKay, do you have one?
Well, maybe a couple. Mayor Anderson would always want to have some increased funding for enforcement for muscles, quagga mussels, deeper mussels, or quagga mussels. And so that should always be an annual thing that we do. Ensure that there's continued funding for enforcement at the borders and checks and more public awareness. And we talked earlier today about the riparian area in the 7-month or 8-month turnaround. If we could get staff to drop that into a resolution, I think we're in a consensus on that. So there's a couple there.
Thank you, Councilor McCabe. Those are good ones. Councilor Bailey?
Yeah, I was just going to mention something. We just got done talking about the Broome Bridge and the infrastructure updates that we want. I wonder if there's a resolution around that. I mean, we've been waiting for 8 years, and maybe it touches on the same thing with the riparian area, is that where we would want some sort of, I guess, better assurances of when the community plans for something that is being reciprocated on a provincial level as well, right? We've been planning for a replacement for a bridge for 8 years. We've been waiting on a number of different things from their end. So maybe it's part of the whole sort of thing that both levels of government have to work together, and we're doing our part, but the province has to do theirs, and maybe it's lacking a little bit at this point.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey. Yeah, I mean, I'd also maybe mention that the bridge one, like Colleen, Mayor Anderson does say, it's not just Broome Bridge, it's actually our Trans-Canada Highway. And Colleen does sit on the CSRD, which is attached to the Revelstoke Mare and the Golden Mare. And if we could somehow get Salmon Arm, Sycamoose, Golden, Revelstoke, and really ramp up a resolution that this Trans-Canada Highway is, I mean, it's taken, but it won't be done in my lifetime, but it would be nice to be 4-laned sometime soon. It could be a really good resolution that could have some movement. So that's my take on it. And I think those are good resolutions to start. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Could I have a mover for those resolutions? We need to do individually.
No.
Councilor Rich, you have one more?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Councilor Rich is the mover, seconder. Councilor Bailey. Mayor Anderson, did you have something you want to say?
Yeah, thank you. Those are all great resolutions. I would like staff to think about this as well. We talked about it earlier today. And that is softening up the regulations so that if we don't get a headwater lease, softening up the regulations so that we can make some decisions regarding our waterfront with a QEP, but not having, and following rules and regulations, of course, but try and get some of this governance back into our community. So, and I think that other communities feel that way as well. Not just, and Ian, you're correct. I mean, this is taking way too long, but let's see if we can round up some of that responsibility back to the community and not so much provincial.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Anderson. Okay, we still have those 3 resolutions, and that was moved by Councilor Rich and second by Councilor Bailey. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Carried unanimous. Okay. Correspondence for information. We have a few letters here. Did anybody want to talk about any of those items?
Yeah, just one, and it comes from Interior Health, and it's something that people should be aware of. We had our quarterly update today from the RCMP. The province is embarking on a 3-year decriminalization process for drugs and some drugs that are currently criminalized. It's just something to highlight as a community, and I think will be incumbent on us to review and see how this works in our own community and give feedback after the 3-year period. So it is quite a big change. It's certainly something unique to Canada where certain infractions are not going to be prosecuted by police or even potentially, if you call out of somebody who's having possession issues, it's just not criminalized anymore. So it's just something that this is the beginning of a 3-year trial. It's just something that I wanted to highlight to council.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bailey. I'll just comment on the senior center's Christmas dinner. We did get a response there from Fred Bush. And yeah, he's thanking us for the assistance on the Christmas dinner. I was out of town. I didn't make it, but I hear it went off really well, and it was really a good success. So yeah, that's good that we get behind them. Okay, moving along. We have public input from the public. Is there anybody in the galley?
The galley.
Gallery. Mary, you have some?
Just in regards to the safety of the Trans-Canada Highway with the bridge. I think it can be really highlighted on the turn to Bear Mountain Resort. And also, I don't know if it's been documented anywhere about all the debris that falls from underneath into on the boats. If that could be highlighted.
Okay, thank you, Mary. That is highlighted in the letters.
Okay, good. And the other thing is, I wouldn't have thought anything of it, but I overheard some people talking about rats. And I happened to be at the last meeting where a fellow brought it up in town here. I don't know his name or who he was. I don't know if you took note of it. But they were talking about how bad it really, really is. Sickness, and that people are taking them out salt spot like 12 at a time and dropping them off. And you're shaking.
No, yeah, no.
That way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that could end up to be a really big problem in town or not. But
Thank you, Mary.
then maybe we should bring up. I don't know if it's been addressed from that time that fellow.
We did have John, our bylaw officer, speak on it because he gets all the complaints, and he did speak on it, and they have some traps out there, and but I didn't know they were catching that many. Some people were catching that many at a time.
No, I didn't either, but if I hadn't heard it here, I wouldn't have thought.
Okay, we'll talk to John about it and let him know again.
He might know more than shaking his head.
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
Through the chair or.
Oh, sorry, I'll wait till I'm recognized. Yeah, no, I think it is a growing problem in town. I mean, there's a lot of, anecdotal chatter in the restaurants and people are having problems with it. And I know certainly the trailer park behind my restaurant's having quite a big issue with it. And the population is definitely growing in Sycamoose, and I think it'll be something that is going to impact us, unfortunately. And yeah, I don't have a solution for it, but yeah, it's definitely like an emerging issue, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey. Councilor McCabe?
Yeah, just in response to Mary's comment that the letter that we're sending to Ministry of Transportation does make reference to well, actually, I just wanted to ask Mayor Anderson or staff. It refers to cement, but it's not cemented, it's concrete. Cement is a product in the concrete. So if the letter hasn't gone out, if we could change that, I think it's mentioned twice in the letter as cement. It's actually concrete.
Thank you, Councilor McCabe. Mayor Anderson?
Yeah, thank you. I don't know if Daryl is still there, but we had a conversation after the last meeting. I think Ratso brought up, and I think I sent a note mentioning that we may need a bigger plan than what we've got going on with John. So I don't know if Daryl has had an opportunity to look into that, but I do believe that now is the time for us to figure out a major rat solution, like figure out a way to get this under control because they multiplied quickly. So we need to put this a plan in motion. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Anderson. Councillor Beach.
I think that at that meeting that the gentleman spoke up about rats, I concurred. I think a lot of people in the Freed subdivision are experiencing rat problems in their backyards because of compost. I think I suggested then that maybe, I know we sort of are, I'm not sure if the regional district did run a compost survey to see how many people would do it, but I would lay odds that if we tried to do something to see if people were willing to actually have some way of getting rid of their compost now, that we'd have a much better response because everybody's really having trouble and they can't compost. You just can't. And I also think that composting, while it might not be the only solution, it's a sort of a long-term strategic prevention to encouraging rats in this community. And it isn't just here, it's everywhere. I know all the cities, Vernon, everywhere, it's getting worse. And I think personally, I think we have to try harder with dealing with our compost and making sure that there's no food for them in our yards. And that's my thought.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Beach. Ed, you had something?
Yeah, we're lit up as of tonight, segments of Main and Wilson Street. If you notice when you leave, they put all new streetlights in. And I was talking to the gentleman who was putting them in, and he said Kamloops did the same thing. And it helps with the police force seeing where you're going around houses and that. But both our streets of tonight are relit lights and bulbs. So we know it's in the lead, they're right.
Oh, that's good to know. I knew Daryl was on the program and I haven't seen him myself, so I'll drive by tonight and have a look.
Maybe the batteries could be down.
No, but he said it shows up better and like most streets tonight.
Great, thanks very much, Ed. Do we have anybody else online that wanted to make any comments? No, nobody else in the gallery? Okay, we'll move on and we'll look at adjourning this meeting. And maybe just before I do that, I just wanted to say, I missed this on our bylaws, is acknowledge Scott and his planning department. We worked on this for 8 years through different planners, and some had it for 2 years, some had it for 4 years. And Scott was able to punch it through in a year. So Scott, you and your team did a great job, and thank you very much.
It was fun.
Adjournment, recommended that the regular council meeting, January 11th, 2023 be adjourned at 6:20. Have a mover, Councillor McCabe, seconder, Councillor Rich. All in favor? Thank you very much, everybody.
Oh, you're already too far off.
Thanks, Gord. Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
You.
Bye, you too.